6-0.
6-0 for Manchester City. Ruben Dias back as well. Maybe things looking up for Pep Guardiola's men as we take a look at where they are in the table right now. Oh, there they are, in the top 4. 38 points behind Nottingham Forest, obviously, and Arsenal and Liverpool as well. This is how things are standing for them so far. Jules is back with us. That's a good result for Manchester City. OK, it's against Ipswich, but it's just what they need right now, Jules.
Yeah, 5th game in a row now without defeat. So we saw against Brentford, for example, the good things with the ball much better. And Foden's form is clearly one of the main positives. 2 goals again today. I thought it was pretty outstanding through the whole game. And then defensively against Brentford, shaky at times and still very fragile. Today, not so much. They didn't give much away at all. There's that header at 0-0 for O'Shea on the corner, but that's pretty much it. There was nothing else. For once, defensively, they defended well, and I think it's helped by the fact that Ipswich were really, really poor in every department of the game. So I'm not sure exactly how much positive you take from City away from this game, outside of the fact that, yes, it's another path towards getting better again, and that improvement, which a few days before the PSG game, it's not really what I wanted to see, but I was not too hopeful, to be fair, but I was still hoping that for them it might be a bit, but no, it wasn't. So they'll be on good form in Paris on Wednesday.
Yeah, we knew we had to get you on today, Jules, for that alone. Jules says they're getting better. Are they back, Stevie?
No, I don't think you can say they're back, but scoring 6 goals away from home, even if it is against Ipswich, just lifts another bit more confidence that they've begun to build. So yeah, I don't expect us to see the City of old anytime soon, but there's no question that they're getting a little bit more confident and they look a little more settled. And if Foden keeps scoring goals, then certainly they have a chance of getting back to some sort of invincibility again.
They needed a game like this in the Premier League. They needed something like this, something that just allows you to just breathe. Yeah. Just no pressure, no stress, no nonsense, no hanging on. Oh, well, we're going to be able to get 3 points. Something in which you feel good about what you're doing, and you feel so good about it that you're willing to ignore the fact that Mateus Nunes is playing right back for you. Okay, you're willing to ignore that, and I think if you're Manchester City, the more you do these sort of things, the more you start to believe that there's a corner to be turned, and we're getting to that corner. We can see around the corner. Let's not get crazy. There are still flaws in this team, and the flaws that were there 3 weeks ago still remain now. How they go about dealing with those flaws, and maybe a better performance from Phil Foden will help, and Kevin De Bruyne being back and actually playing at a high level will certainly help. All those things put together make Manchester City better, but not quite back to where they need to be.
OK, so that's how things are looking for Manchester City right now. Before we do move on from them, Jules, I suppose I should quickly ask you to what the reaction has been to Haaland's contract extension now that the dust settled a little bit.
Oh, pretty amazing. I think there was a lot of people. We didn't usually those kind of things leak a little bit before, and we kind of knew they were negotiating and talking, but I don't think any of us expected pretty much a 10-year deal. Considering he's 24, that's a long time. That doesn't mean he will stay for 10 years at City, but it's the length of the contract, I think, was what shocked people the most, really. And then the release clause that were kind of there, not so much anymore. So there was a lot of things, I think, to unpack when this was announced on Friday morning, I think it was, or something like that. Or Friday morning or Saturday morning. So good for him, good for City. It's an incredible deal for him to sign. He has become, I think, one of the top 2 or top 3 highest paid player in Europe, which is incredible. Again, and that shows City's power financially to be able to give out a contract like this, even over 10 years. It's very similar to US sport kind of contract, really, that we see, in baseball, for example, or in American football for some of the athletes. So this is very similar. Well done to both parties, and I guess he celebrated with a goal tonight. He probably would have wanted more, but he a bit like Foden, he's on a good stretch at the moment.
One final question, and just do want to bring up a bit on Omar Marmoush. I know we visited this the other day, Ale, but we're looking at figures of around 80 million here of what this player could cost. Where's he going to fit? Is he going to play? What's going to happen with Marmoush at Man City?
His best position is playing alongside another striker. That's how he was successful at Eintracht Frankfurt with Hugo Ekitike, playing off of each other, having the freedom to move around off of each other. Omar Marmoush can play on the outside, can come from underneath, but I do think that his best attribute with Manchester City is running around Erling Haaland, running beyond Erling Haaland. That would mean that Manchester City would play with 2 strikers. That would mean that Pep Guardiola would have to change. That would mean that I'm wrong. That's not happening. And so how does Marmoush fit in? I really do think that he can play a similar role to what Julian Alvarez did for this team, with some different attributes that he can provide with running in behind, because I think he's a more pacey player. He's a good player, and he'll give this team something different. Now, some people will argue, is he worth this money? He's only really played at a high level for 6 months at Eintracht Frankfurt. Everywhere else he's kind of been hot and cold, hit or miss. Look, all we can do is make decisions based upon what we see from a player in the current. And in the current, what we're seeing from Omar Marmoush is a guy that can make a difference. Made a difference for Eintracht Frankfurt, and I think he can be a good player for Manchester City.